Okay, welcome. This is our third edition of the Collection Spotlight with the Co-Center for the Arts and First American Art. I'm Bess Murphy. I'm the curator at the Co-Center for the Arts in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I'm here on site today at the Co with the pieces in our collection. And so this program came about as a collaborative project with First American Art and the Co-Center. And I think that we're really excited to be able to bring these deep dives into pieces from our collection led by incredible, brilliant artists. So I'm not going to talk too much. I will only give you one note just from the Co's perspective that I am not wearing gloves. If you all have joined us before, you've heard this already. But if this is your first time on the Collection Spotlight or interacting with the Co, we have a hands-on collection and we handle our collection without gloves, generally speaking. And we do that for a number of reasons, in part because we feel that it's actually safer for us to handle the pieces without that sort of tactile interference of the gloves, but also because we feel like we are honoring the lives held within the pieces in a respectful way. So we have careful handling procedures, but you will see me hands-on with these pieces today. I have two different cameras here, so you can see sort of a selection of the pieces from the Co. And I will also be bringing some of the pieces up front for more close-up views. So I'm going to pass it over to America Meredith from First American Art. Thank you all for joining us.
Hi, this was a co-production of the Co, which Rachel will talk about next, and First American Art magazine. So we're a quarterly print and digital magazine completely devoted to art by Indigenous peoples of the Americas. And I'll send it over to Rachel, who is muted.
Oh, there we go. Okay,
Here we are.
All right, okay. So I'm Rachel Wixom. I'm the executive director here at the Co-Center, and our mission is about increasing public awareness and education and appreciation of Indigenous arts through our programming, which has become a little different because of COVID. So we very much appreciate that you're visiting us today for this wonderful hands-on experience. And I'm not going to take up much time other than to thank the artists that are joining us and going to bring their work and their and all that they do to us today. And also thank you, America and First American Art, so very much for this collaborative event and program, which we wouldn't have had without you. And thank you, Bess, for being Vanna White. All right, I hand it over to you guys.
And now it is my definite pleasure to introduce our artists. We have two that we'll discuss today, Cherokee baskets, and they both hail from the Eastern Band Cherokees in North Carolina. On your, I hope it's the same on all of ours, but on our left is Lydia Louise Goings, who is a third-generation basket maker. She learned basketry from her mother, Emma Taylor. She specializes in white oak split baskets with natural dyes. A lifelong educator, Goings teaches basketry and the Cherokee language, of which she is a fluent speaker in the Qualla Boundary in North Carolina. And then on your right is, we welcome Tonya Carroll, also Eastern Band of Birdtown community within the Qualla Boundary. She's department manager of the Ray Kinsland Leadership Institute, where she teaches Cherokee history and culture and works to empower the next generation of young Cherokee leaders. She serves her community in numerous capacities, and she's the co-organizer of the annual Kananaski Art Market. So thank you so much. And we're going to look at 4 baskets today. So should we begin with the baskets? So Tonya, and take it away after that lengthy introduction.
Okay, so
Tonya and Louise.
Louise actually went out and got a piece of river cane for us to show, and it's pretty long, but I'll show it right here and she can tell a little bit about it. So this is what it looks like.
Oh my God, you just got that?
Yeah, after we talked yesterday, she went out and got it so you all could see it. And that's what the three of the baskets that we're going to talk about are made out of. See if that helps.
This is kind of a young cane. So we would probably want to harvest a cane that's like 3 or 4 years old. So it wouldn't have all this plumage here, but it would have more plumage up here at the top.
Yeah, I've heard the younger cane is good for what is it, blowguns?
No, it has to be older, just like the canes
Okay.
use in baskets.
And my understanding, it's an indigenous plant, right? And it's the only species of bamboo that's indigenous to the Americas?
There's also a smaller one that grows here that we call mountain cane.
Okay.
And it's used a lot when they make arrows. It's the stem for the arrows.
Oh, that's incredible.
And then I've also been told that people can eat it, the mountain cane. Yeah. I haven't.
Have you tried it?
So the first basket, if you want to show it, we can talk a little bit about it.
Okay, sure. Beth?
It's the double weave river cane basket. And Louise did a little bit of research. We had talked about the design.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, America. Here we go.
That's on it. So that's a double weave basket with a lid. And the design in the collection is called snake eyes, but I have heard it called bird's eye, and Louise did a little bit of research on it yesterday.
Yeah, I went and looked in Brett Riggs and Betty Dugan book about basket weaving, and they went way back before the late 1800s, or maybe the late 1800s, and in that section it said it was called the bird's eye. So different families sometimes call the designs by another name.
And then can you tell us exactly what double weave is?
Double weave is that your basket has two sides to it. So you start on the bottom and the shiny part is on the inside as you weave up the rough part. Then when you get to the top, then you turn it back and you weave down the side and you finish it on the bottom.
So how do basket makers make it so seamless?
It's not like sewing, I guess.
But it's incredible because it looks completely seamless. Like, what are the tricks that basket makers do to make it look so even? And you can't really tell where the ends and beginning, or I can't tell what the ends and beginnings are.
Well, sometimes they really use the long pieces of cane for the river cane double weaves, or sometimes like they change color on this and put a different designs. If they were going to change the color and the inside was just the natural color, then they would add the color splits at the top and bend them back. But like I tell my students at school, the more you pack your basket, it makes it much, much neater looking when it's finished.
And then would you care to talk about the coloration? Which are the natural ones and which are dyed?
Okay, as far as I know, even with my mom, she made baskets for 60 years or more, and her primary colors was the black walnut and the butternut and the bloodroot. And this is the bloodroot dye.
Let me move it over to you, sorry.
And the bloodroot makes the orange or copperish color that you see in the basket.
So here it is, and yesterday it was frozen. So as it unthawed, it stained the paper.
Oh wow, that's a beautiful color.
And it depends on how long you boil it to what shade of orange it turns. So this would be the natural color of the oak.
So when I showed you the river cane, it looked green. After it dries out, the natural color is the, it looks a little bit yellow, but it's the predominant color in that basket. That's the natural color.
And then you're thinking that beautiful coppery color might be the bloodroot, the red root.
Bloodroot.
Yeah.
And the dark color is probably this butternut.
Okay.
Yesterday we told you about the butternut. The butternut overlooking like an egg, not round like the walnut.
That is massive. So is there anything you need to add to the dye? I imagine that the oak splints take it more readily than the river cane. What do you have to add to the dye to actually make it stay? Because these baskets are quite old, aren't they?
Well, in my family, we add some baking soda after it comes to a boil and boils real steadily. We add baking soda to the dye water.
Cool.
I don't add anything to the bloodroot.
Okay, so you don't need a special mordant to make it stick. It really just stays that true over time. That's incredible.
And once their splits are dyed, they don't run. The color doesn't run, and like you said, it doesn't really fade a whole lot either. The natural dyes, and then this is.
And if you can lift it up a little bit. Oh.
And this is bark from a black walnut tree. And that makes more of a brown color. And then sometimes they'll mix them together. They'll mix the black walnut and the butternut together for like a blackish color.
Yeah, for a more subtle color.
And we also use the leaves off of these trees too. So right now you would pick like a big bag of a trash bag full of leaves.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
And then when you put your natural splits in the water in a big wash tub and you build fire under it, or you use a propane burner, and then you'll take all these leaves and you pack them over the top of them, and that kind of holds your splits down in there. And then when it boils, then it will make kind of brown with maybe like a little greenish tint to it.
Oh, nice.
But they make beautiful baskets too. So you can also dye cloth with it. In our culture summer school one year, we had a teacher that worked in plants. So they took our walnut dye and our bloodroot dye and they dyed t-shirts, and she dyed her skirt and a blouse to wear to the opening night when the summer school was over.
That sounds like such a fun project with kids. Because here in Oklahoma, I know people use walnut hulls a lot. You know, so you use the leaves and use the bark.
Yes, we use the hulls off of the nut too. Or you can just crush up the green nut and put it in the water. They all dye different shades.
So people could harvest now. Is there a certain time of the year that's better to harvest, or can you just harvest year round with the
Well,
walnut?
most of the time you save this bark and these nuts for the winter use.
Okay. And then, oh, and so sorry, the previous basket, we actually know the name of the artist. So do you want to speak a little bit about that, Helen Bradley Smith? And I've heard her name is she the same as Helen Bradley Reed?
Reed? No, I don't think so.
Different person, but you knew this artist, Helen?
Yes, I knew her. She worked with my mother at the Oconee-Lufty Indian Village, and I think at one time my mom said they went to boarding school together. And she comes from the Big Cove community.
Do you want to show that picture?
Okay.
We have a photo of her from a book. It's called Weaving New Worlds by Sarah H. Hill, and she's young in the picture, but Louise found it and she was going to show. She's actually working on baskets there.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's the artist of this basket. And so river cane, well, bark and river cane are the oldest materials that we use to make baskets. And the double weave can actually be waterproofed. They would take resin or beeswax and put it in between the two walls. And then they could weave it so tightly, like Louise said, when you pack it down, it could hold liquid. And then I've heard that the double weave was also used to hold like ceremonial objects also.
And these designs, these are pre-contact designs. I mean, that form, it's just incredible how enduring it is. And I know these were important trade items with Europeans. That I love the fact that Europeans came here and were oohing and ahhing over Cherokee baskets and how wonderful they were, the stacking ones. And they would take them back to England and Scotland. Did you want to look at the next basket? And was it the small market basket or the really grand basket you wanted to look at next?
I think it's the large river cane basket.
Okay, well, that is massive. That's why it's so fun to see your hands with this, Beth, so we can actually see and compare.
So I probably won't pick that up because I
sure.
can't really hold it in front of the laptop here, but I can also turn so that you all can see sort of multiple angles on this basket and maybe get a slightly truer color view. So let's see.
And this basket dates from the 1930s? So this is the Great Depression era? So this is before the tourism and the park was opened.
Yes, and Louise also researched this basket a little bit and we think it comes from the Youngbird family.
Oh.
And actually one of the members of this family was a male that made baskets, which then would have been a little bit unique. His name was Edmund Youngbird, and then the other person in the family that I'm aware of is Lizzie Youngbird.
Who was his mother?
That was his mother. So it could be, we're thinking it's part of that family and maybe made by Lizzie.
So in this book that Anna wrote, that's where I went back and read, and Edmund said sometimes he made river cane baskets and he made up his own design. So the one in the gallery at the co-op belonged to the mother. So if this is Edmund's basket, maybe they had their own name for it, which they never revealed. He just said that sometimes he made a design and he didn't have a name for it.
So that kind of explains why, to me, it looked like a noonday sun pattern, but you said, no, that's not quite right, that usually that's more of a diamond shape.
And then, so the book she's talking about, it's Cherokee Basketry by Anna Ferriello. Yeah. And then here's a picture of him in the book. That's Edmund. But then you can see this is the basket she's talking about that's in the Koala Arts and Crafts collection. And it's very similar to the one in the full collection.
Right, but you don't get a sense of the scale at all.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Yeah. Would you all care to explain to people what the Koala Arts and the Koala Crafts and Arts Mutual is?
Sure. So we call it the co-op, and it's an artist cooperative that was formed in 1946, and it's actually the oldest Native American arts and crafts cooperative. And Louise and most of her family are artist members there, and they actually have to submit their work. They have to demonstrate that they actually can make it, and then the whole membership votes to let new artists in. And once you're a member, you're always a member. Oh, and they're set up where you can take your artwork there and they'll buy it and then they sell it for you. So it's a really great opportunity for marketing for artists. They also partner with local organizations to help revitalize materials and provide that to the artists. And I can let Louise talk about talk about it from her point of view since she's a member there. And I worked there for about 3 or 4 years and really enjoyed getting to meet all the different artists. There's over 300 members right now.
At the co-op now, they kind of build you up, and if there's different shows happening in the community or off the boundary in different places, they might call on you and see if you want to go, and so that gives you more exposure to the public so that your work might be appealing to them and you might get a collector. So my mom always said that you should learn to make baskets even if you get a college degree, because she said you always need extra money at different times. So I was really enthused when I was accepted into the co-op.
Yeah, it's got to be a major honor to be accepted by your peers. And then this year, or was it last year, the museum there, the Museum of the Cherokee Indian, they just opened a changing gallery, right?
They did, and they've had, the first exhibit was for like a younger generation of artists, and now they have then they had a pottery exhibit that was mostly from a collector's collection, and then now they have actually a mask exhibit for the local people here that make masks. And that opened actually during the COVID-19, so not a lot of people have been able to see it yet. My uncle had some masks in the exhibit, so I was able to go and look at, and they just have masks by different artists, and so they plan on, I think they're planning on having a basket exhibit probably within the next year.
Oh, cool. Yeah, when we can go there again in person. So is there anything else?
Oh,
I'm so
sorry, America. I was just gonna say if we wanted to see different angles of this, or if that's helpful for you, Louise and Tonya.
We were actually discussing this basket, just kind of how we would describe it. In the collection notes, it's called, is it called a burden basket? And is that right?
Right, but you couldn't really wear it around your head. Like
No.
No, what they would do is they would tie it to their back. We also have a photo of it that Louise found, but we call them storage baskets. We call them a contemporary burden basket, and we call them like waste baskets, kind of like a waste paper basket.
Yeah.
And
There's an insect.
Oh, I know. Action shot. Those moths that I tell you about that are they're not bad moths for the collection, although any insect is not great.
Yeah.
And here's a photo of Lizzie from the same, Lizzie Youngberg. That's a photo of her. So that's what we're thinking, it's from that family.
We'll just go on to the next and I'll
Sure.
Okay.
So,
Should we go to the next basket?
yeah.
Basket, and then if I find this, then we'll show it how it was used in the old days.
Okay, sure. So I was calling this a market basket, but you all had a different term for it.
We call it a purse basket,
Okay.
just because that's how most people utilize it now. And so they'll carry it like a purse. And it has those drop handles. We use different types of handles in our baskets. So those kind of handles are put on right before the rim.
Yeah.
And we call them drop handles.
And do men carve them, or do women also do the wood carving there?
Well, my mom did when she was raising me. She made all her handles, but
Okay.
I buy mine from a neighbor that lives across the hill from me. So that's part of being Cherokee too, that you help each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I noticed the design on this, we call it the pipe design. And then you're wearing that design on your t-shirt, aren't you?
Yeah, I did. It has, so this, we helped do a syllabary class, and so we used the pot design, because all the photos or paintings that you see of Sequoia, he always has a pot, and then on the back is the syllabary. But I decided to wear it because of that design.
That's perfect. So it's still an important design even today. And then, are there other dye sources for these orangey colors that are kind of in between the bloodroot and the darker browns?
Now, some basket weavers say that according to what metal your pot is, will turn it a different color. And then sometimes it depends on how long you dye the splittings too.
Okay, so that would make it deeper, longer duration?
And they'll dye them, the splits, for hours to get the colors to take. You know, like they'll soak them in the pot with the water, they'll boil it for a long time. And the longer you do it, you know, the more vibrant the color is going to be, usually.
Yeah, if you dye it today for 10 hours and it's not the color you want, so in the morning you would light your fire up again and dye it some more, but you would also dye it, add a little more dye to it so that it will help it along to get a deeper color.
And in the record, there wasn't a date. Do you guys have a sense, like, would the rim or the handles tell you anything about the dating of this?
Now this must be an older basket because the rimming on there, and you see that where the canes rolled on the top.
Mm-hmm.
That's an old style rimming technique that's not used very much anymore.
Okay.
The river cane baskets now are just kind of rimmed like the white oak baskets.
So when did this style become popular? The purse style, has it, I mean, is it a more recent design?
No, they probably started making baskets with handles after people moved into this area from other countries that made handles.
Yeah.
Because most of the baskets that you see on display in museums and stuff, they don't have handles on them.
Right.
So that's early. And then,
so if I'm over 50 years old, I've seen that style made all my life.
Yeah.
Empirical evidence.
Right.
Yeah, and people definitely still make them and still use them, which I love that they're seen and used today. So for when you make the dyes, can you store them, or every time do you have to make them fresh? Do you have a refrigerator full of dyes?
Well, you should dye just about all the splits that you need to make 5 or 6 baskets, because if you keep your dye a couple of days and then you dye another run of splits in the same dye, they won't be the same color.
Okay. So it's better just to do one giant dye batch.
And then there's ways to store some of the dyes.
Yeah.
So like the bloodroot that you see, people can gather it and they can freeze it. And then some people say that affects the color that you get also if you use fresh as opposed to frozen. And then what's really neat about the walnut dye that makes the dark brown color, we also use walnuts to help with fishing, because there's something in the walnut, the chemical, that it stupefies animals in the water, and you can just reach in and pick them out of the water. So there's a lot of different uses for the natural things that they use in the artwork. You know, it can be used for something else also.
Yeah, and there's several books out about Cherokee ethnobotany. Yeah. And I was thinking, it just blows my mind that that Great Smoky Mountain region has more biodiversity than anywhere else in North America, even including Central America. Like, I think we don't realize how incredible that area is, especially with the different types of woods you have, and then what is it? Carnivorous plants that eat animals. But that was a big sidetrack. Is there?
Yeah, it is. And I remember going on a study abroad trip to Scotland, and they were really bragging about how green it was there. And it was just to a bunch of kids, college students from here that's like, it's this green where we're from too. But Louise found the picture of the burden basket that we can show you how they would have used it instead of tying it to their head.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
Can you see how it's just kind of tied around?
And people would have corn or nuts or wood like in that. This would be incredibly heavy.
And then I've also seen them where, because it has that indention, that you can hold it like this and put stuff in it also.
Cool. So it's completely.
Probably not one that size, but yeah.
That one would be freestanding. Could you? Oh.
And this is another style of the burden basket made out of white oak. So
Yeah.
it has a more distinct neck than the one that was on the lady's back.
That's such a dramatic design. Could you show us what book that is? That's one of my favorite Cherokee books there are. I totally recommend it to everyone.
It's the Weaving New Worlds book. We've shown you two. This one's Weaving New Worlds
By Sarah Hill.
by Sarah Hill, and then this other one's Cherokee Baskets by Anna Ferriello. And this one focuses a lot more on the artist and their background.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And then are we ready for the next basket?
I'll talk about this one. Okay, sure. And
So I'm so sorry.
I picked this one because I knew that there's a side of Louise's family that make this style of basket. So I thought that would be really interesting for her to talk about.
I don't know if they're in this. You can look through this book while I talk about it.
Okay.
Okay, this rib basket that she's holding up,
Yeah.
I've only made one, and I made a fishing creel. So I might have made a basket that required a lot of detail and whatever. So that killed my interest of ever wanting to weave more rib baskets. But when you make this basket, you have to gauge every rib that fits into that basket. So they're not all the same length. And you have to whittle each one of those little sticks out by hand.
Yeah, you have to be a mathematical genius to make baskets.
So that comes from my side of the family on my father's side. He had a brother named Julius, and they had four daughters, and the mother was a rib basket maker. So they all specialized in the rib basket making. And there's not too many of my uncle and aunt's children living now that make rib baskets. Only one child named Dolly, and she's about 80 years old, and she makes rib baskets yet.
She's 80 and she still makes splint baskets. Because these are oak splints. When did oak splints enter?
Next page.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. When did oak splints become used commonly?
Question again.
Oh, when did people start using oak splints in your area?
Well, when I was reading about the cane baskets now, and they said that they might have been being used in the 1820s, but they just didn't say anything about them and get wrote up about them like the river cane baskets were being wrote about.
Yeah, that they were just kind of practical and utilitarian.
Probably.
And the description says this is an egg basket. Do you use that phrase or?
Well, today they don't use them for anything. They just buy them for decoration and stuff.
Oh my gosh, come to my mom's house. I've had to like save very expensive baskets from me to use to store keys. It's like, do you have any idea how much this costs?
But you probably could use it for an Easter basket now. You know,
Yeah.
your little ones could put eggs in it at Easter time. Because people around here, they don't farm too much anymore, so you would.
Well, corn. People still have corn, right?
Yeah. It's on the next page. Do you want me to show it?
Okay. And this is the family that was my auntie that married my uncle that made the rib baskets. That's the mother, Julie.
It's a beautiful design.
That's her daughter, Sally and Rachel.
And they're even making children carriers. Did anyone use those? Like baby carrier baskets?
That must be a more modern thing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They call them, it's called a cradle basket, but the ones that I've seen are like decoration. They're too small to hold a child. So
Probably you'd buy it for your little girl or your little granddaughter and she could put a doll in it.
Oh, that's sweet.
and then the type of handle that's in the basket, you can see if you show on the bottom, you can see that it's woven all through the basket. And that's different than the purse basket. So that one you weave the basket around and the handle's in there. So like if some of your splints were to break or if the handle were to break, to repair it, they'd have to take it all the way apart.
Oh my gosh.
What do you have in there?
It's called an interlocking handle. So if you look inside, it should join together.
Oh yeah, you can see how it carries all the way through on the bottom.
I don't know what that's interlocking. Sometimes they use small nails.
Oh, nail.
And if it doesn't have a little hole and the other side fitted through it, then they probably used little tacks to hold it together.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see this, but right there's a little tack.
Oh, no way.
They use tacks.
Yeah, they use tacks. But I can show you an interlocking handle.
Okay, yes, please.
So we wanted to save a little bit of time for Louise to show some of the
absolutely.
baskets that she makes.
Yeah, whatever you want to
Grab
do.
one. And then she also has a photo of her mother. But here's her, and you can see on the bottom, right here where it interlocks together.
Okay.
And then it's the same way, it's woven all the way through.
That's a model for my summer school kids.
So this basket, she said it's a model, so she makes one, and then when she teaches summer school, that's what the children make in the summer school classes. We have a program called Cultural Summer School, and the kids in our community can sign up and they make different things. So what grade is this?
That's third, 4th through 12th.
So this is a 4th through 12th grade is what they'll be making.
So you can get 10-year-old kids to actually make a basket?
Louise can. She's an amazing teacher. I don't know if I could.
And I make kids.
And so what she'll do is she'll make a kit that has all the different splits that they'll need.
Oh, wow.
She dyes them, and then when they go, they weave the basket.
And they
And
think
she has children that they take the class every year, and so once they get a little bit older and in high school, they can really weave on their own.
And was that one white oak?
Yeah, so Louise works mostly with white oak.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what this is, and you can see the natural is the whiter looking color, and then the bloodroot, and then the brown is walnut.
that just looks black. That's incredible. I mean, that white oak really takes the dyes. I didn't even know that was natural when you first showed it. And there's a purplish kind of tint to the walnut as well.
Oh yeah.
So this is one of my nieces that she's my student. She comes every now and then and she makes a type of basket that my family has made for years. And this is Emma's basket.
And then what do you call the kind of curlicues that stick out?
Okay, the curlicues are made out of red maple.
Maple, okay. So that has more of a sheen to it than the oak, huh?
So when you take this out, you don't have to scrape it like you do the white oak.
Oh, okay.
Because you can take, if your tree's really good, then you can take it out to where it's really, really thin.
Mm-hmm.
Maple was, they started using it after white oak became a little bit more scarce and harder to find in this area. And it has more of a sheen to it, like you said, but it's also a little bit more brittle than the
Yeah.
white oak.
That is purely decorative.
Yes.
And then sometimes we just make stuff for holidays. So like this little basket I make at Halloween time. And we use the Cherokee word to go with it. Gunga you, I love you. So we write a little something, and then we just have these for sale.
That's
For
so
Valentine.
For Valentine's Day.
Oh.
And it,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I was just showing it so you could see.
Yeah, there's a couple Cherokees in the audience and they had questions. So one is with the rib baskets that we looked at earlier, did non-native people make that? Or is that a Cherokee design?
No, that was probably introduced later on. Like I know a lot of people from Tennessee and probably some people from South Carolina made these rib baskets. So I just think that it was introduced later after European people came over.
Okay, so it's non-native and then Cherokee people kind of adopted it and made it their own.
And there's really not that many people anymore that make those. There's, like she said, Dolly Taylor and her family, and then there was another family, some Wolves, that would make them, but I think they're all gone too. So there's not many people, maybe one or two people that even make that style anymore.
Oh, wow. And then another question is, you were saying that cradle baskets, were they never used in the Eastern Cherokee region, or are they just not used recently?
I've never known that style of basket to be used. Not saying that it couldn't have, but not that I'm aware of. I think that was more of a more modern thing that they made to sell to tourists.
And then what lengths of reed do you work with? Like when you're first starting, when you're working with the River Cane basket, are they one length or are you able to weave smaller lengths into large baskets?
I think and Louise can jump in, but I think they prefer, if they're gonna make a larger basket, for it to be one long strip. But sometimes now they can't find the kind of material that they need, and so they can, I guess they call it like patching, and you can make it bigger by putting other ones together to make it bigger. You can probably explain it better.
Yeah, it's called like an extension cord. If your split runs out, then you just plug another one into it, and then it becomes a longer length.
Oh God, that has to make it much
You have to know how to put it together and hide it so that no one will know where you plugged it in.
So there's ways to tuck in and make it really subtle.
So here you can see, this is white oak, but you can kind of see the length of it.
And then you all have gathered your own material. Do you want to talk about the gathering process?
Well, I'll start when I learned with my mom. We just went, all the kids just went with mom to the woods. There was 5 or 6 of us till she had more. There were 8 of us. So we got to learn different kinds of plants, and she would chop trees down herself, which would be 6 to 8 inches in diameter.
Oh, dang.
And then she would bring them home, and she made her own wedges out of hickory and oak that was not usable. So she just made her own wedges, and then she would bust the tree trunk open. And the tree trunks could either be from 3 foot to 6 foot long. depending on how good she thought that tree was going to be. It might go up to the first limb, and that could be 6 foot, because you didn't want to take the trunk of the tree if it had limbs growing out of it, because the heart of the limb, it grew down to the heart of the tree.
Right.
So you wouldn't want anything that had a lot of limbs protruding, growing out of the trunk. So what didn't have any limbs, that was the part she cut off and took home. So after she busted it up, well, she was helping my dad raise 8 kids, so her and my dad would set up along about 12 or 1 o'clock every night, and she'd take at least 2 trees out, and if she could get them took out in that night's time and part of the next day, then she would be dyeing the white oak splits the next evening. So by Friday or Saturday, then she had about 3 or 4 baskets to sell.
Oh my God, that's incredible. That's like pressure.
But that's working day and night.
Yeah, that's amazing. The basket, I always use the term basket maker instead of basket weaver, because my basket making friends always explain weaving's the fun part, and really is the gathering and the dyeing.
That's the fun part.
That's the part that I do sometimes.
Yeah, she's one of my students too. So she came and she learned how to, and some of the splits that I have, you have to redo. You have to scrape them and make them fit your preference. So she learned how to scrape splits and starter baskets and weave them up and finish them. But we never got to the woods part. So we didn't go out to explore the woods to find a tree.
You didn't go find the snakes. That's a big thing here in Oklahoma. So looking
But
at
I had another student too. She said, "This is just really hard work." She said, "But I can appreciate a basket now when you go out and you purchase one and you see the price on it." She said, "The baskets that I've made with you, if someone was paying me $1 million for them, I would part with my baskets."
Yeah, absolutely. You're getting the knowledge and the plant material and the hours and hours and hours of work. Since you guys are both Cherokee language instructors, would you care to share some words with us, like the word for basket?
Okay, I'm going to tell you about your introduction now.
Okay.
When you said I was a fluent speaker, I've worked in the school for 33 years. I'm like the reading teacher. I'm fluent at my level, not as somebody that was born into a home and learned to speak language from.
Okay, I apologize. So you're conversant.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to say she knows a lot more than she lets on and has a lot of knowledge, and maybe sometimes she has to think about it a little bit, but she's a really good language speaker and teacher. So I don't get in trouble later for that. But
I'm afraid to say anything because I mispronounce so badly, but we say talucha for basket. So how do you say it?
I say taluza or taluza for baskets.
So is that plural? The D is a plural?
Yes.
Taluza.
Mm-hmm. That's the plural. Yes, that makes it plural.
Cool. And then if the people are interested in finding your baskets, where do you show them or exhibit them, or if they're available at all?
I only make from home. I only sell a couple times a year. The co-op that I'm a member of, they have the Koala Arts Market in September over the Labor Day holiday, and sometimes they might have it the last Saturday in August. I'll sell during that time, and then we have the bazaar at Christmas time. Then I sell at that time, and then sometimes if I have baskets at home and someone wants to purchase a basket, if I have what they want, then I sell from my home.
She also, her and her husband They didn't get to have it this year. It was canceled because of COVID-19. But there's an event every year in Washington, D.C. at the Museum of the, what is it? The NMAI Museum.
Yeah, National Museum of the American Indian.
It's called Cherokee Days, and Eastern Band, United Cthulhu Band, and Cherokee Nation all go for about 3 days. And her husband set up and sell at that event too.
Oh, cool.
And she and I always teach a little basket weaving class upstairs for the Children's Day. We do a mat of maybe a basket. We'll just do the side of it out of paper, such as this. This is a paper basket.
Oh, that would be a great project with kids. How cool is that?
So this would have been like the whittling basket or sifter baskets in the old day.
Yeah, but much, much larger. Yeah.
Oh, show your picture.
Oh. And this is my mom.
Oh, I've seen that photo my entire life. She looks really fierce. I would not mess with her at all.
Yeah, she's coming out of the woods from finding a white oak tree.
Wow.
And she used a 2-bit axe to chop it down, not a power saw.
Yeah, people probably get affectionate about their axes after you've used them for so many years. So, yeah, I think we're wrapping up, but I allowed everyone to unmute themselves if you guys want to ask any questions directly. We know everything we want to know.
She's talking to us and she's talking to,
I think she's talking to them.
Oh, the public. So if there's no more questions, thank you so much for your time, and thank you all so much for staying here and listening and looking. I don't know if these baskets get a lot of visitors in Santa Fe.
Richard,
I had a question.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Sorry, I was muted there.
Oh,
Hi, I'm Richard. I'm viewing from Portland, Oregon, and a member of Cherokee Nation. I was just wondering how you do the splits. Like, is the wood green when you're working with it? It sounds like it is. Maybe if your mother was able to do it that quick.
I told you my mom brought the wood home from the forest, and she busted it up into, and I kind of teach fractions to my kids using the tree. Okay, you take your whole tree and you bust it in half, so you have 1/2 and 1/2. So when you add in fractions and you put them together to make one whole, so then you take the halves and you quarter them. Okay, you have 4. So they're adding fractions, and you put all the fourths together, and it comes together, and it makes the whole thing again. So from the fourths, then we cut them again. We use our axe and we slice them in half again, bust them in half, and then you have eighths. So that's a much tinier, smaller piece of wood then, lengthwise, because that's the way you're taking the tree out. And then you take the axe and you put it on the line of the tree and you hack it against your chopping block. That separates the heart of the tree from the flesh of the tree, the white flesh. And you pull that off, and then you would sit down and take your large knife and you scrape the length of that eighth of a tree, which is a small slab, and make the sides smooth and get your uniform width, which would be 1 inch or 1/2 inch. So your slab's smooth on each side. Then you take your large knife and you put it on a growth line that's at the end of your length of the white oak tree, and you tap it in with a hammer or a wooden mallet, and that takes it down into the flesh, and then you grab the blade of the knife and the handle of the big knife, and then you just work your forearms down in there that you can get your fingers in. Then you pull it apart, and it just comes on down the length of that slab on the growth line. And you
Okay.
and you pull each one of the growth lines off like that.
I see. Oh, I see. Okay.
And then
Okay,
you
that makes
put it on your knee with a scraping rag and you scrape, and it makes shavings. And that's what makes this smooth piece of white oak.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow. And how do you scrape that? Are you using an axe as well, or just
Using
a knife?
a smaller knife.
Oh, there's one. And you put it flat on your knee.
Oh, okay. I see.
And you'll hold it down, and you hold your knife down, and you pull this part through.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The shavings.
Kind of like twisting a ribbon or something where you pull it through. Yeah. Okay. And then, so are all the handles, do you just bend those from the green wood as well?
Yeah, you would have to make your handles when they had moisture in them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
That sounds physically demanding and incredibly dangerous.
That's intense. Yeah.
We have one more question if you want to stay a little bit. Are there still accessible cane stands managed by Eastern Cherokee people?
There are. We've actually been working with a land trust organization that's near us to find places that have accessible and usable river cane for our artists. They get help us get permission from property owners if it's not Eastern Band owned to get the materials. We own it's near one of our mound sites, about a 40-minute drive from here, near Franklin, North Carolina, and there's some cane breaks there that the tribe owns that allows artists to go and mostly around our mound areas that we still own. There's river cane that people can gather. Then they've also tried to cultivate it, and that's a project that's still going on too.
And then you said people travel out of state to gather.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that are, not a lot, but the basket makers I know that still gather river cane. They go like to Kentucky to get it. Some have gone to North Georgia. And then the far, far western part of our state, Andrews, North Carolina, there's some places there that people will travel to get it from. So for those basket makers, they're very specific on the kinds of materials that they want to use, and they're willing to travel to get the right materials. And put in all that extra work.
There's so many layers of work that you have to do.
It's really admirable, the work that they put into making these from start to finish. And if they didn't love doing it and want to continue, with keeping that part of our culture alive, it would be so easy not to, nowadays.
Yeah, completely. Well, thank you so much. And we're shifting from doing this every week to every other week. So I hope I get the dates right. I'm the person who screwed up the date on the announcement. But in 2 weeks, June 16th, we're going to welcome Elizabeth James Perry, who's a Wampanoag. She's actually of Eastern Cherokee descent too, but she's up in Massachusetts. So she'll be discussing quill work and finger weaving and other interesting things. But thank you so much for taking the time to answer all our questions and do the research.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining and listening.
Yeah, and
My
Nanette,
pleasure.
I can try to put you guys in contact via email.
Okay.